Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is not Wesley Nakamura, your reliable host. This is Brian Redondo, the award-winning Brian Redondo, the one who has a shelf full of awards, as you can see here on my fake background. I'm hosting today, apparently, because I didn't do the homework, and so now I got to sit in the dunce chair. What up, everybody?
What's going on, Brian?
Hey, what up, yo?
Hello.
So you went apple picking? That sounds
Wait,
boring. That sounds
dude,
boring. That sounds
I'm
terrible.
the host.
That sounds
I'm the host.
terrible.
What the hell is this? Hey, man,
You can't direct the banter, the pre recap banter that we're gonna have.
Sorry.
We're not talking about apple picking today. We're talking about black hole buttholes. That's what we're talking about.
We really are. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
I'm jumping ahead as host because that's what I do. What are you putting in your black hole butthole, Wes?
In my black hole butthole, I think you got to have. So what I've learned as a parent is you always got to have wipes, like those wipes. Like,
so true. As a pet parent,
as an adult, I'm like, why don't I just always have wipes? Like, why didn't we just have wipes in the car like before this? Like, you didn't need a baby to have the wipes.
Y'all have sticky ass children.
But like,
the irony of putting butt wipes in your butt, though, it's not that's pretty good.
It's not
the whole package. I'm gonna put the whole package in the butt. In the
whole
black,
package,
like the one container,
in the
like
Mary
the
Poppins
thing.
Mary Poppins bag, but like where just endless things can be in there.
Do you leave the slit where the wipes come out from exposed though?
No, absolutely not. No, you don't want the germs from down there.
What is this?
So that you can just pull them out. You can just pull them out of the butt.
Oh, so like your butt, your black hole butt becomes like the tissue dispenser.
I'm so sorry, listeners.
I mean, that could work. It could be a dispenser. I'm not mad at that.
Can we at least give the context of this so they don't just think we're just doing the worst bit ever?
I would also put an umbrella in there. You never know when you need an umbrella.
Oh boy.
He went from the
something
TV
long
show,
and
y'all.
phallic.
To be clear, we're talking about
All
things
right.
that happen in the show Gen V. This isn't us just casually talking about black hole movies.
All right, let's get
confidently wrong. We're talking about Gen V season 2 right now.
Wait, I want to hear what Savon puts in his butt.
Savon, what are you putting in the black hole butthole?
Ideally, nothing.
A bushel of apples?
Ideally, nothing, because I don't need a prison wallet. Like, I just got my regular wallet, and that holds all the things I need.
Do you have like a brick of a wallet, though? Do you have like the double cheeseburger wallet?
The one that like sets you sideways when you sit down?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I'm a
like,
minimalist these days. I don't carry cash on me. Really, I pay for most stuff with my phone. So outside of like my, government identification and a credit card and debit card, I rarely use.
Why do you call it your government identification?
Because it's literally my government identification.
It's got his government name on it.
The feds pull up on you and they start asking questions. You got to prove you got to prove stuff.
Don't show them nothing, man. Don't show them nothing.
Man, them people do whatever the hell they want. I'm showing them everything.
Are you putting your phone in your black hole?
No, I have pockets. All the things I need that carry on my person can fit into my pockets already.
No, but then you kind of get that bulge pocket.
What about snacks?
And then the more you wear same pair of pants, you get the outline of your phone.
But you wouldn't need a backpack. You'd have a black hole.
Okay, how about this? I'd have a box with my skates, so I'm ready to go at any time. Is that a more acceptable answer?
That's more satisfying.
I'd have like my gym bag. That way, no matter what, I'm just ready to swap out into some workout gear, skate gear, climbing gear, whatever, and get to work.
Well, so follow-up question, does that mean you can go skating via your butt? Like, you can just put your butt down and then roll away?
No, because if you watch the show, it's more of like, it really is more of a container than a, like, thing.
It's not functional. Yeah,
it's not functional. It's just a bag.
It's not a utility belt.
Yeah, it's just like,
Second follow-up question, do things just fall out of your butt?
I don't think so. I think the way they portrayed it in the show, you gotta be very intentional. In fact, it looked unpleasant even.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh.
He has to get that on all fours.
Yeah,
okay, definitely don't want the umbrella anymore.
He had to assume the position, and he was clearly exerting effort. Like, it wasn't just like a boop. It was like, oh no, I was like, oh, this looks like a lot of work for you.
Brian, from our childhood?
Oh boy.
Famous scene with the rhinoceros. Imagine that. It's like that.
Wow.
So it's the same joke.
Let's talk about the show.
All right, Gen V season 2.
Let Brian host, and this is what you get.
Gen V season 2. I barely got through episode 1. So I'm gonna need a little recap here because to be honest, I didn't know really. I couldn't remember what was going on. Savon, can you tell us? Can you catch us up?
Let me handle the recap for season. Just kidding, of course not.
I was gonna let you. I was like, hey man, if you want to go for it,
I was like,
I'll give you the keys. I'll give you the keys.
I was like, wow, Wes.
Look, give him the keys. Let him crash the car. He'll learn.
I had no idea what happened in season 1.
No, so for a reminder of our friends who've been watching just Gen V season 1 and The Boys as a whole, because there's a little bit of connection even with the most recent Boys season. We know that God U is the university for superpower students. We know that in the previous season there was a corrupt administration. There was a conspiracy.
It's short for Godolkin U, which comes important later.
Yes,
but
Godolkin is
later.
Character,
we're doing the recap. Damn it! As far as the recap is concerned, we know that Godolkin University is a school. It's where superpowered youths go to train their powers, learn how to basically fit into the Vought machine. We followed a group of students there made up of our friends Marie Monroe, Emma, Kate, several others. And season 1 really just broke down in the Boys universe what happens at these universities. It's another side of things. For young folks with powers, what does that look like? What is the development, the growing up? What does their careers look like? And the show answers all of that, where you work in either social media or your heroics or your branding. And that was a big focus of the show. We learned a bit about the characters and their different conflicts and dilemmas, but a lot of it's a big focus on the Vought machine and how it's awful. And then we learned that there's a plot, right, of someone trying to secretly create a disease that can kill Soups, which we end up learning.
Oh, yep.
By the end of the season, and that ties into like the most recent season of The Boys as well, right? That's the tie-in. And then as far as how the season ended, our student friends all basically uncover this conspiracy. They're pushing back against it. It results in them basically getting their names dragged through the mud and slandered. And the season ends with all of our main characters actually locked in a prison because of all of the basically them uncovering conspiracies and stirring the pot way too much for Vaught's liking. And so the season ends with the soup disease being something that has been worked on at the school that Butcher finds at the end, and that kind of kicks off some of the main events of the most recent Boys season. And then our characters locked in this prison. I forget the name of the prison.
Elmira.
The Rift.
They end up Elmira, thank you. They end up locked in Elmira, which is a soup prison, and then we just see them there, and that's where the season ends. And so the new season kind of picks up. Some things happen afterwards, but it picks up after their time in Elmira, and that's where we start off. One thing I'll share for context, one of the main characters, Polarity, played by the late Chance Perdomo, passed away last March.
Andre, and our beloved Andre.
He played your beloved Andre. I love a magnetic powers youngin. But the actor died in a tragic motorcycle accident, and a lot of the season of the show was rewritten because he was a very major, significant main character. And so a lot of the writing shifted. And so when we talk about the show, this is something worth noting. We'll try and point out moments of, hey, this is clearly a shift because of a character that died. But it's worth noting that they had to rewrite significant portions of the show because they had lost one of their leads and they wanted to tastefully write him out of the show rather than recast. So just wanted to give that quick bit of context.
And you mentioned that there's a certain character who was conducting all these experiments at God U. Just to make the connections with the Boys clearer, right? That was Victoria Newman, right? Who's conducting those experiments?
It was somebody else.
So it was someone else. Right? Yeah, it was.
She was trying to benefit.
Yes, or if I recall, or did Butcher kidnap him to make him work on the virus?
No, well, I think Shetty. This is going great, by the way, guys. Shetty was the one. She was a human, and she was in charge of God U. And she,
the counselor,
she wanted the virus because she wanted to actually wipe out all the soups. Her family had been aboard the flight that Homelander let crash into the ocean.
Yes.
And so she held a grudge against all soups, and so when she came in charge of Godolkin and ran this like secret program to make this virus, they thought it was just a way to like neutralize soups that were like off the rails. But she wanted it to actually implement to like kill all soups, and then that plan is foiled by the end.
Mm-hmm. And then Butcher, which thank you, Wes, great recall, great callback. And then that leads to Butcher getting the virus, and that's one of the main points of the most recent Boys season is that Butcher, who also hates soups with his whole heart and soul and body, is dying and also has access to this virus and is going full scorched earth. So that's a little bit of the through line between the shows is that, Gen V introduces the disease that ends up being the main driving point in the boys' main series. And then Gen V's kind of doing its own thing a little bit from here, which we'll talk about more.
Yeah, so let's talk about season 2. Wes, how do you think it evolved from season 1? Or did it evolve, or did, as Savon is suggesting, like did it veer on its own path? What's your take?
Well, okay, so here's the problem with answering this question. As per usual, I don't really remember season 1, but one of the things that we talked about in our pod about season 1, or maybe you did 2 pods about season 1.
So you don't remember season 1, but you remember the pod about it.
Yes. Well, I remember one thing that I don't know if it was you or Sav. You pointed out that in the boys, the real villains, or right, the people who are like the fuckers, are the soups, right? It's Homelander, it's Black Noir, it's who's the kind of dad guy. He also sucks. I want to say Homestar Runner. Who's Homelander's like dad guy?
Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy, right? Soldier Boy is also kind of a fuck. Like everybody's just awful in that, and the Deep, right? Deep is awful, and then when we get to Gen V, it flips in that like the humans and the adults are really the problem, right? And it's not so much a soups versus humans thing, although it is a little bit, and it's like the humans having power here, but it's also like adults have power and kids are the victims. And I feel like in some ways they sort of got away from like the humans being the victims in this season, and it more turned into like it's still kind of the same thing as the boys now. So it's like Vought is like the overall bad guy, and Homelander's the bad guy, and a little bit less about the fact that like humans are actually like also problematic and caused a lot of the situation, right? We get a lot less focus on like, wow, your parents like fucked you over by like shooting you up with Gen V as a baby, not knowing what the health consequences were going to be here, and a lot more on like there's this conspiracy happening and we got to like end it and figure it out and solve it. And so I think that was one of the major shifts they made between season 1 and season 2, and I'm not mad at it because I think the season was really interesting, but it does take away a little bit of the like separation that the two shows had, and now they're becoming a little bit more like just one big show.
Ooh, so you're saying that as a negative?
A little bit, right? It just doesn't have its own voice anymore.
Interesting.
Like it did before.
Interesting.
I don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the season. I thought it was awesome.
Interesting.
But you think it now that it ties in more to the boys universe and taking on that paradigm that you're talking about where soups are kind of bad, is that what you're saying is a negative or a knock on season 2 of Gen V?
I don't think so. I think they probably had to incorporate it into the boys, given that there was all these like links that were already happening, right? Like characters were showing up. The overall threat of Homelander being there is still there. Like Homelander's a threat to everybody, right? For no matter whether you're a soup or whether you're a human. So I think like you sort of have to shift the show a little bit over is probably what they felt like, and it's fine. It just doesn't have its own identity anymore as like a totally separate show.
Interesting.
Where I thought season 1 really stood apart on its own. I was like, oh, you didn't even have to watch the boys to like understand what's happening here.
Savon, do you disagree?
So I agree with the first part of what Wes said. I think Gen V season 1 was 100% about like a switching up of the dynamics of the people with powers who are these youths are actually the ones who are being manipulated by the adults, both soup and human, right? And I thought that was a really cool dynamic. I agree with Wes that season 2 moves away from that. I don't think it's a bad thing because I think they still focus on some of the other elements that I think makes Gen V interesting and stand out from the boys, which for me, the big one is that Gen V really focuses on the characters having their own individual trauma and baggage. And I don't think they moved away from that. And I think that is one of the things that helped Gen V, in my opinion, retain its identity. So I agree, Wes. In general, the whole youth, young people versus adult thing swapping is something they moved away from, and I think that is something that made Gen V stand out uniquely. Like, I completely agree. I just think it's not a negative thing because the other things that made Gen V unique, they still leaned into. And one of my favorite parts about Gen V is that they really emphasize that all these kids in the show with their powers have very significant drawbacks and psychological baggage that comes with it, whether it's the power itself or their childhood or upbringing, and they don't just skate past that. It still manifests heavily in the show. Kate is still someone who has to deal with trust and manipulation issues because of just her power and her whole story of being someone who, right, the manipulator who's the most manipulated character, right, or Chance having the Andre having the tumor in his brain that his powers would aggravate, and that being a hereditary thing, right? Emma having eating disorders both ways and deep self-esteem because of her mother upbringing. Marie still having to deal with self-harm, and you think it's her power, but you learn actually no, she just cuts herself. It just ties well with her power. And I think the show didn't quite move away from that, Wes, and that really was important to me because it still emphasized that, like, yes, it's no longer about them being manipulated, but the show emphasizes that their situations are very much victims in a way that I don't think the boys always did with the Supes, specifically with their powers having legitimate drawbacks that has significant impacts on their identity, right? Like Jordan being bigender and just dealing with all the shit that comes with that in terms of perception, in terms of their family. And I thought Gen V season 2 didn't really move away from that part. And that was what I really enjoyed because it made it makes the main characters just more sympathetic. They have these godlike powers, but they didn't ask for it. The powers come with huge drawbacks because all of them need to see a therapist or got some kind of shit going on. And so watching them actively navigate that with each other and figure it out and support each other was really, really good.
And next, we'll hear from our sponsor, BetterHelp.com. Just kidding.
Yeah, but so I agree, but like I don't think it took away because the other shit that Gen V does really well, I thought they were still sticking it. And if I'm gonna just keep it a buck, I think Gen V just has better character moments than the boys at this point. So just watching the characters go through, figure out, and experience things to me was just more interesting because frankly the characters are more sympathetic and interesting. Like Homelander's a monster, but you can only feel so much sympathy for him when you see the shit that he does. Starlight has her issues, but she doesn't have the same level of baggage as some of these other youngins have. A-Train was always a jerk. You see what I'm saying? Like they're still cool characters, but it's much easier to root for this group of characters knowing what we know about them and knowing that they're just frankly a lot more innocent than other folks.
What I think is still true is that it still though like gives you some sense of like you now have a deeper understanding of like how someone like the Deep or A-Train or whatever, like how they come to be into that position and make those choices that they made. And they're still adults and they're still responsible for them. So yeah, you don't feel as much sympathy for them. But I think like Gen V sort of deepens that story, right? It's like, oh, like A-Train went through this shit, right? Like the Deep went through all of this. So like they are also part of this system, right? And the only one that's, and like even Homelander, like you said, he's just like a fucking maniac. So like you don't feel sorry for him, but you do understand like if he and Marie are the same, the difference between them was that Marie grew up in a home where she had love, right? And Homelander obviously did not. And so you're like immediately contrasted between those two around. Oh, okay, well, the difference here is this upbringing, and like that was not Homelander's choice.
Yeah, but all I have to say though, I just think the Gen V characters are more interesting. I think that's really what it boils down to. I think the Gen V characters are just more interesting. No, you can break down the why because then you're getting to more granular stuff. But like, I think I just felt watching Gen V. I like watching these characters on screen go through their story and struggles more so than some of the characters from the boys. And maybe that's because the boys has been around long enough to where I feel like some character arcs are kind of almost complete, right? Like we've seen Frenchie get clean, address his past, do all this for so many seasons that it's like, hey man, like your story probably, then we talk about this with the boys, right? A certain character felt like their arc was probably completed already and maybe they need to wrap their shit up. So some of it could just be the Gen V characters haven't been around for as many seasons, so they still have more material to work with. But I can't say that if we didn't have Gen 4 of Gen V, or Season 4 of Gen V, I wouldn't be saying similar stuff of like, hey, their arc is kind of complete. And, there's no, and we've seen this in a lot of shows talking about like Peacemaker, right? Where a character with a completed arc who's still floating around with not a lot to do it's rough. It can really, kind of drag a show down. But, I don't know. I just thought season 2 built off the stuff from season 1 without retreading the same ground, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, so talk to me about some specifics of season 2, right? So we have like this cast of college students, these Gen Z stand-ins in a Gen V world. What are the kiddos up to? So they were basically imprisoned at the end of season 1. What is the main conflict in season 2? And what does that mean for some of our beloved characters that you mentioned?
So the what turns out to be the main conflict, and I don't actually remember like exactly how they got into this, because they all like they sort of escaped. Marie has escaped prison when the show starts, or that Elmira prison, and she's on the run trying to find Annabeth, her long lost sister, and see if she's still alive. And then the Emma and Kate, is it Emma and Kate? Yeah, they get out of prison, and they're allowed to come back to Godolphin.
Jordan and
it's Jordan
and Emma.
So they're allowed to come back, and Kate also got out at some point and becomes like the puppet of the new headmaster person, the new president. And it turns out that the new president is a fucker, and he's just like changed the whole thing. He's like, soups are like the best way to go. We need to end everything for humans, and like basically just like stop accepting that like we're gonna be second class citizens, right?
He's eugenicist, right?
Yeah, he's kind of the Magneto. He's like the Magneto of the situation, but like more extreme.
Homo superior.
Yeah,
he's a Nazi.
And it turns out he's a Nazi,
like a super Nazi, not like
Magneto. Infamously not a Nazi.
That's why I don't know. That's why I don't buy. I don't like the Magneto comparison. But I'm gonna just let Wes talk his shit.
Okay. But he is sort of on the like, well, humans are gonna like try and wipe us out, so we need to like just show that we're like better than them in every single way, right? So he's that kind of person.
He's a survival of the fittest freak of like, he's very much one of those survival. He uses the term "cull the weak" multiple times, which I think when you start hearing someone say "culling the weak," you or "call the herd," you start to know what kind of time they on.
Yeah,
tell yourself.
And so the first, that's the main conflict is them trying to figure out like who this guy is, where he came from, what powers he has. In the beginning, they're really not sure. He's not a like a public figure that they know what power set he has when he comes in. And I don't know, they sort of all just get dragged back into the situation. He's like an expert manipulator. He's like really informed, so he always knows like what's happening before it happens somehow. So it's kind of like he's who was that guy in Game of Thrones who always had like spies out everywhere, the guy with the bald head?
Varys.
He's like Varys in some ways. Like
he's a eunuch.
He's not a eunuch.
But he is plugged the F.
Yeah,
he's like
he's got his little ravens.
Someone was spying, like someone in the show was spying on him, or like trying to find out information from Vought like headquarters. And as soon as he comes face to face with the character who set that up, he was like, "I've heard you've been like trying to find out more about me. Let me just tell you about myself." So it's like he's just like, "Oh, I know what you're doing." And like it's not gonna work, he's just that kind of confident motherfucker.
He's like that, always in the driver's seat character of like, okay, can someone catch this character by surprise or off guard? And
nobody ever does.
Never happens. Almost like he almost never gets caught lacking. He's on some shit.
Yeah. And then by the end, or by like the middle of the season, you start to figure out that actually he can control people like puppets. He like gets into their heads and takes over their whole entire body. And so he can, like, if he takes over a superpowered human being or a superpowered person, then he can just use their powers to do whatever and like destroy people, whatever. And so that becomes sort of like the how do we take this guy down when he seems to always know what's happening, always knows what's coming, but he's like a terrible person and wants to kill people.
Sounds like an S tier villain. So
I thought he was a great villain.
Which of our characters handled him the best or the most interestingly this season?
Ooh, okay, let me take this one.
There's lots of small things that they do as for like to find weaknesses based on their powers, because nobody actually takes them out by themselves.
But we do figure out like a very definitive weakness, which is helpful. Which that kind of ties into my question or my response about like character arcs of who had the best arc, and for me it was the character polarity. So again, there's two polarities, right? Polarity 2, Andre, the late character Andre who dies, his dad is well, you might remember the dad from season 1 because he does appear. His dad was very pro Vought, big into just being into the system, promoting his son, all that good stuff, caring about the rankings. He is a very prominent character this season, played by Sean Patrick Thomas, and he was my favorite character by far because he just goes through first of all, the actor Sean Patrick Thomas, he's just a really, really good actor. So all his scenes were just like, oh man, this dude is acting his ass off. But he's a character who's going through the grief of his son. He feels responsible for his son's death because he was like, I basically fed him into the Vought machine and all this shit happened. His character's going through a bit where he's still dying from his own powers because him and his son have the same condition where their powers cause these little micro tears that can cause them to start having seizures that eventually leads to your death. And so this character at the start of the season is like, he's an alcoholic. He's getting drunk in his home, passed out on the floor. He's still having these magnetic seizures and causing shit to fly everywhere. He's losing his mind because he lost his son. And he has this really, he's pretty much going to at one point go on like a suicide mission to get revenge on Vought. And he ends up being the adult in the room character amongst our group of friends. Like, as the group, ends
like
up being
Alfred.
He's like, not quite Alfred, because he's the adult in the room of like, hey, we're gonna do something. We need a real plan.
Teen Titans.
Oh no, he's just, what? He's the liaison for the Teen Titans off of Young Justice, however you want to describe it. But he has this great arc of breaking out of his self-destructive tendencies and learning, hey, don't die for your son, live for your son, honor his memory. And he also ends up just being a great resource to the Gen V, like the students, just in terms of he has contacts at Vought. He knows the right questions to ask. And again, knowing that they had to do such major rewrites, I was very impressed that they did a great blend of his character having good character moments, lots of drama, cool fight scenes, and still making him key to the plot. Like, they kind of pull an X-Men Magneto thing, Brian, where the main villain, Cypher, this mysterious dean of the school, can control people's minds. And then Polarity's character ends up learning, kind of a la Magneto, Professor X, his magnetic powers can disrupt the mind control. And that ends up being like a key thing to fighting against this character. But I thought a lot of the characters had cool arcs, but I just didn't expect a side character from season 1 to, for outside of the show reasons, get promoted to a main character. And then, in my opinion, he steals the show. Like, even the scenes where he's helping the kids, but he still has an attitude. Like, you remember Wesley, they're all at his house, and they're all talking about, okay, what's the next move? What do we do? And he's just like, okay, cool. Y'all can go.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
Like,
the fuck y'all still doing here?
Yeah, like, what are y'all doing here? And he's like, okay, let me put it this way. Leave. Like, he's still helping them, but there's still all this parts where, the girl Emma's trying to convince him, hey, do this for Andre. This is what he wants. And he's just like, don't you understand? I don't give a damn. I don't give a shit. My son dead. F all the rest of this. I just want revenge on Vought. The rest of y'all stuff, I could give two shits about it. And he ends up being a character who really saves the day for everybody because he was the key to defeating Cypher.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I wonder if, well, I don't even wonder. I'm like now pretty sure that originally when they probably mapped out season 2,
they wrote that for Andre.
Yeah, they 100% Andre would have been doing all of that because they already established Andre was a kind of naturally heroic character, and despite how debaucherous they all were, he legitimately had a good head on his shoulders. Like, in a show full of really shitty people with powers,
not that good of a head. It was gonna explode if he used the power too much. Like.
Yeah, I mean, and that is how he ends up dying too. Yeah. Brian, spoiler alert: one of the key things of how the character dies in the show is that when they're trapped in the Elmira prison and they try to break out, he overuses his powers trying to rip out a metal door, and that causes him to basically have the equivalent of a stroke and die. But
I wonder if they would have saved that for the final battle and had him die that way.
I mean, who knows? Well, they probably would have just kept his character.
Or his dad.
And then, and then it turns out Marie has force healing powers like Rey in the last Star Wars movies. Maybe she would have saved him at the very end.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but unfortunately, we can't. We only know so much. But
yeah,
character was great. Good character moments. His whole just grief and working through all his feelings, and the character got to give it the full range. But and everyone else was great. Don't get it twisted. But I just didn't expect him to steal the show the way he did.
So Wes, what about you?
Shit. Get in the house.
Wes,
not watching soup porn.
What character stood out for you?
I mean, I guess Marie is the easy answer. She's really the main character throughout every single episode.
She's still the beating heart of Gen V.
Absolutely, yeah.
Literally.
I mean, they really focus on her. The villain, the headmaster guy, his name is Cypher. He's like so intent and focused on her because he thinks she's some kind of salvation. He's like, you're the salvation, and we don't know what that means, but he's like really obsessed with her. He's really obsessed with like setting her up in these no-win situations where she has to like expand her powers. So instead of just being able to like splash blood around or like shoot little blood daggers at people, he wants her to like learn even like to. He doesn't even know where it's going to go. He's just like, you could have so much more potential. You just think that's the limit of your powers. And so throughout the season, there's sort of this
She was Wemby and she didn't know it.
It's just he's trying to push everybody. It's like a train. He's trying to really legit like just push everybody to. That's the Magneto part, right? Of pushing. He's like, hey, yo, if you're gonna have power
You're
like
God
this,
amongst
you got and you have to practice your shit. And it's like X-Men First Class. They make them practice their powers and be like, hey, you can do this. But did you know if you really apply yourself, you could do all this?
Yeah,
and
but the way he does it is he sets them up in like a you're gonna die if you don't use your power situation here, you know. So like one of his first tasks is like he sends this like really strong dude with like a Thor-sized hammer or like a big hammer at them, and is just like wailing on dudes, and like nobody can stop him. And so Marie has to like use her powers, and Jordan has to use their powers. So it's yeah, I mean he's just like so she like changes through the season in terms of like her ability to see herself as not just a side character, but she is actually starting to like consider and feel like maybe I am a main character in this world, right? Like maybe I am someone who's destined for something bigger.
Like next level. They kind of push almost some chosen one shit almost.
Yeah, and some of they acknowledge that. They're like, what are we talking about here? I'm not the chosen one. But she, you know, and it's a kind of like it's a dance, right? She dips her toe into that idea and then like backs up because it backfires in her face. Or like, am I just doing this because I'm clearly like being manipulated by this dude who's evil? And like I think that opens up a lot of cool questions for her to like, how do you navigate through the challenge of becoming your fully actualized self when you understand that like someone who's clearly an evil fucker wants you to do it? Like, should you continue on this path? Like, maybe that's not actually the right thing for me to like fully realize my powers. Like, maybe actually this is a bad thing. And she sometimes quits and is like, no, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do this. And sometimes it's like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, I want to make sure I save people. And, you know, there's kind of just this like in and out situation that she's doing throughout the show. And I think it makes her really, to me, it was like engaging to like watch her try and like figure that out. I mean, I think sometimes to me it was like overdone. Like, why are you leaving again? You just said you wouldn't. And like, you know, but I think she did great as like an actor who held like the center of the show.
Completely agree. Like she's been Marie again. I was fawning over Polarity's character, but Marie's back and forth, the guilt, the survivor's guilt, the trauma, the coming to terms with like her just childhood because they revisit that a little bit. Again, I agree, Wes. It was all very compelling, and the whole bit of her trying to wrestle with, yo, you don't think you have godlike power, but we, the viewer, definitely know because we've seen with Victoria, right? Like what a higher tier version of that power. Look, they even say in Genevieve season 1, Victoria's like, oh, cool, we have the same power. So as soon as they said that, we're like, oh shit. So we already, at that point, we, the audience, know what her upper limits can be and what she could be. So we're probably kind of low-key sitting there like, I know you don't think you're the chosen one, but like, yo, B, you have some real power. But watching her grapple between knowing how to use this godlike power was a very cool conflict to watch. Even like with Kate, right? Like with Kate, with Polarity, everybody wants her to heal them. And now she kind of has to, I know you say you're not the chosen one, but B, people are coming to you for miracle healings. That's some chosen one shit, my friend. I'm not saying you got to embrace it, but you can't deny it. But Wes, I agree. I thought that was a really compelling conflict because I don't know what I would do if I was in Marie's shoes. Like, what do? You know, you have this godlike power. Do you develop it with the bad guys? Do you manipulate it? Do you help your friends or frenemies? Do you just want to say, F this, I just want to go find my sister and just be in a cabin alone somewhere? Like, I thought that sense of like conflict and struggle she had was very real, and I think it explains why she does some shit that kind of is erratic and pisses us off. Because it's like, yo, man, she got a full plate. Like I do dumb shit and I have too much stuff to do at work. So God forbid all this is happening. I know I'm not gonna make all the right optimal decisions, especially when there are none. Like it's kind of just a pick your poison. But couldn't agree more, Wes. I thought Marie did a great job as the lead this season in carrying the show. Which if she wasn't good at it, we would have felt it.
And so, like, the boys' universe is known for, you know, just the craziest, most outlandish demonstration of what a superhero world could be like. Do they take Marie's powers to, like, a new nth degree that you weren't expecting?
Not in... I didn't think they took it that way in, like, a oh my god kind of way. Like... I mean, you know, season 1 of The Boys isn't the scene where like Huey blows up the dude in the invisible guy or whatever, right? And then his guts are like splayed everywhere. I mean, like that kind of stuff doesn't really happen for Marie. She's not, because she's like yeah, I mean, she's just not that character, right? She's not someone who's trying to like
She's not a head
kill
popper
people. Yeah, she's not a head popper. Well,
Yet?
well,
spoilers. Yeah,
at the
We
end,
should go
get
full
to see
on
some-
spoilers
We
already.
get to
Yeah.
see some head at the very end. We get to see her embrace her head popping potential, and she really like embraces it. But
yeah.
but
I
well,
mean-
sorry, Wes, that was you. Continue.
Yeah, but she's like, I mean, she's definitely not trying to do all that. She mostly still uses the blood as like ropes, as tie downs, as things to like injure people, or to control them. She starts to get some levitation powers. So since she can control the blood, she can like pick up the people by their blood basically and move them around a little bit. But it comes at the danger of like it could make the person explode. If you're not careful with it or not, super controlled with it. She explodes a goat in the middle of the show, and she's
Yeah, it was
that
practice
fun
though.
bit.
It was
Yeah,
practice
They but they named the goat Elon first.
though. Yeah, they did.
Nice.
They did. They
Nice,
named
thank you.
the goats after assholes, so they don't
Yeah.
feel bad about killing them during training.
Could you imagine if Elon Musk was actually watching and they're like, "Oh, they're calling me the goat," and then the goat explodes? Anyway, so if
I fully believe that.
if Marie's powers weren't the thing that had your jaw drop the most in the season, what did? Well, like what moments like of just like pure the boys Gen V wild goodness did you witness this season?
Sav, you want to take that one first?
I thought her powers did blow me out. Like her head popping didn't surprise me because once we knew she was a blood controller, I was like, okay, cool. So the end game for her is popping heads like Victoria. For me, it was her using her blood powers to do like god level, cellular level healing. That's what blew me away. Like I was like, I know they were hinting at it, but that completely knocked me off my rocker. Like, oh,
she ends up healing a whole burned up person who can't like function or move on their own.
Yeah, and that ends up being like a key.
Just like uses
plot.
her hands to like completely take all that burned skin and turn it back to normal. You assume she's doing that on the inside of their body too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she fixed Polarity's whole brain thing that was making him have the seizures. That was like his, he's basically dying. She was able to fix that, which allowed him to be able to fight Cypher at the end. So I thought those are like cool in terms of power application. But Brian, I feel like you're asking more about the just depraved, disgusting, over the top type moments.
Yeah, what was the moment that just like, oh my god?
We saw lots of dicks in the locker room.
A lot of weenies, but that's not really surprising at this point with the boys. You're going to see some weenies. That didn't really blow me away. Honestly,
yeah,
I think
don't know. We're desensitized a little bit here.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean that's the issue with having this universe for so many seasons. Like, where else can you go with it? Like, how do you top yourself? And kind of maybe a bit part of why the boys, the main show, has started to fall off because it keeps trying to outdo itself, but it can't, and it's
doing it for the sake of
become hollow as a result. But like, I think Gen V is interesting because it's a new take on the boys universe or a different take on it. But anyway, in that regard, what stood out for you?
It's not as bad, but there's still certain moments of like, okay, cool. Someone in the director's room or whoever was just like, all right, y'all, time for your regularly scheduled, completely unnecessary gross out scene. For me, and we talked about this before, it was that there's one thing that the show does in this season is that it makes fun of like the frats and whatnot, the Greek life frat hazing stuff. And naturally the soup frats are going to be doing some really over the top, ridiculous shit. And one of them is kind of what we talked about at the beginning. There's a guy in the frat who has a butt that is like a.
I like that you added a pause there. Yeah,
I'm saying his booty is basically like a black hole singularity, and they play it for laughs at first of just this big hulky fratty guy is bending over, and then a bunch of like random hazed freshmen are popping out of his butt, right? And it's like, okay,
they're wearing diapers,
doing the full hate, like full on the most absurd hazing taken to the extreme. Every time I saw that, I thought, no one asked for this. This is egregious. I personally would be just fine if y'all didn't have this. I also understand what show I'm watching and that like this is just their damn near like one of their signature things. The one, and I will say I could have done without it, but what I will give them props is due is that they at least took a bit that I didn't like and still made it relevant plot wise, which not. At least if you're going to do some nonsense, making the nonsense plot relevant is something that I can find a little bit more palatable. So did I need a guy who was hazing freshmen by having them up his booty dressed as like diaper stuff? Not in the slightest. But was it also clever that he didn't trust the seminars that they were having because he sensed that it was a trap, West, you know, the whole like them fighting to the death for students? Because at the end of the season, Brian, it comes to a point of like the guy in charge, Cypher, Godolkin, the person running the university, is basically in like this place has become trash. We let people with any kind of shitty power come in, and he starts basically doing death matches to literally call the twist. The twist. We'll tell the twist in a sec. Well, yeah, the twist is that throughout the show, you noted that Cypher, the dean, has this burnt up corpse body in like a hyperbaric chamber in his house, and we're trying to figure out what the deal with this body is.
He calls him Dad.
You end up learning that burnt body is Godolkin, who you actually see die in a fire in like in fact, you saw that, Brian. If you watched the beginning of episode 1, you probably saw the scientists in the lab shooting up V, and then
yes.
So the guy at the end who was Godolkin, who caught on fire, we learned that he survived. He's this burnt up corpse, and we're trying to figure out what is this body? It's alive. What's its deal? Who is it? All of this, and you end up learning it's Godolkin who survived. And
he survived by taking Gen V before.
He took some V before it all happened. He's still a burnt up corpse, but he doesn't age. And one of his soup countermeasures to control them is the like whole hypnosis mind thing. So you end up learning that the Dean Cypher, who was just a dude, is actually a meat puppet controlled by Godolkin, who's that body. And so there's a bunch of hints throughout the season. There's a bunch of hints throughout the season of why is he taking care of this burnt corpse and feeding it, changing his diaper, all that, and there's other stuff that's like hints of, and you end up learning that's Godolkin, the super Nazi, and his plan was to create a breed of new level soups that he can also control. And you learn that's what the university was created for. And there's a lot of like world building, boys world building a little bit too about the university, history of soups, countermeasures to control really powerful soups, programs to create soups that are Homelander level, which we learn Marie is basically like almost how X-Men had Omega level mutants. It's almost like that in terms of Omega level soups where there's just tiers, and Marie is actually in like that Homelander tier of like, hey, yo, you kind of are in some Chosen One shit. Like you're not like the rest of us.
She could be dangerous.
I mean, that's what makes it interesting. Like she's not a monster, but that's very dangerous power, and she doesn't know what she wants to do with it. And we've already seen it heal people who were straight up dying. So there's a lot of interesting implications to it.
Wes, what about for you? Jaw-dropping moments from this season.
So the coming out of the butt thing was pretty jaw-dropping. You're just like, what is happening? We don't really see like anus. They do it mostly through like, you know, a head-on or like sideways view. So you just see them coming out of the back. So you're not
goatsy action.
You're not exposed to. I don't know what that is. You're not.
Don't look it up.
But
look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't look it up. You good?
Okay, I won't look it up. You're not exposed to the ring. You know, very often. Maybe once, where you see somebody actually coming out. I think it'd just be visually really hard for them to do. So that was certainly quite. You know, like gut just like churning. You're just like, oh my god, what is happening here? The slit on the neck of the sister was actually pretty hard to watch. I don't know why that one kind of got me. Because it doesn't happen on screen. She's just lying on the floor, basically dead, bleeding out. But that was like
Marie's sister.
It's Marie's sister, right? So they had located her. So she doesn't find Annabeth. She does find her like aunt, her parents' friend who has been taking care of Annabeth, but the bad guys find her first and kind of kidnap her into the cell. So they use her to manipulate Marie a lot too. They're like, we're gonna harm her if like you don't do what we say. So Marie kind of has to go along with certain things. One of the other crazy things that happened in this episode or in this season was there's a girl who has powers to control her hair and use it to like tie things up. She can like move the hair. So it's like if Rapunzel
control her hair.
Yeah. So it's like if Rapunzel had long, you know how Rapunzel has long hair, so she can grow her hair. But what's different is that Rapunzel just like flings it around like a rope, but she can control the hair like as if it's like fingers or a hand almost. And
yeah,
like
it's Medusa from the Inhumans.
It's yeah, like that exactly. It's pretty awful because it's not the hair from her head. She's not a redhead where her hair is doing the stuff like Medusa is. It's other hair, the hairs.
What are you talking about? Like facial hair? Like eyebrows?
She uses her she controls her pubic hair. When she wants to do things, she gotta kind of gotta like pull down the front. She about to take a piss. She gotta like kind of like if you about to take a piss, you unzip your little front or you do the button, whatever zipper button, whatever works for you.
Expose the hair a little bit
and
out,
then she and then the hair
grows out.
And she uses it several times. Once against an object, another time against a person.
Is it coarse?
It's it's a lot to take in.
She's kind of got at the risk of me getting canceled or someone hearing this, she's kind of got a Hermione Granger type look to her hair across the board. Do with that imagery what you will.
Oh boy.
Is that off base, Wes? Is that
I think that's a right description. That when you said that, I was like that. Yep, I get that.
Yep. So do with that what you will.
Like Hermione season or like movie 1.
Yeah, movie 1.
Whoa, that's a young girl. What are we talking about here?
No, I'm saying in terms of like hair type. In terms of like
oh my god, you could have picked a different analogy.
Also, Wes did that, not me.
Jeez.
Well, I didn't do that. Wes her hair is much more like mangy
Anyway, the point has been made about his hair. Let's move on.
That also means it's like curly, right? Like it's not sharp. Like the reason why it's curly is so you don't get poked in the eye.
Please, someone save me from this conversation.
I don't know. It's
help me.
It's pretty interesting. So that's what goes on.
Amazing.
That was probably one of the more eye-opening. Like, oh my god, like did they have to do this right now? And like, no, they didn't have to do it.
The answer is always they didn't have to do that, Wes. I need you to recognize the show.
I mean, they're gonna run out of orifices and like genitalia related stuff pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we've already seen the guy who has the extendable penis, right? Like that's probably like one of the crazier
we've
like
seen
genitalia
like
jokes we've had.
Emma jumping into a pee hole, right?
Oh yeah, she was on the No, we saw the ant dude termite jump into a pee hole.
Oh, okay.
And then because he was doing drugs and he sneezed, he made him explode. We saw Emma in her tiny form, I think, just hanging on to a wiener. Once I think that might have happened. We've seen a lot. All right, we've seen a lot.
There's seen a lot of wiener.
This is the first pube power we've had.
We haven't seen any powers related to breasts yet, so maybe that's coming at one point.
Mother's milk is coming out. That's what's gonna happen.
Triggering.
So obviously this is like one of the cornerstones of Gen V and the boys, right? But the thing that I actually really appreciated about the original season of Gen V was all the kind of like youthful, kind of like Gen Z issue exploration that they dealt with. Like Savon, you mentioned cutting earlier. There's like body dysmorphia and the stuff Emma was dealing with. A lot of very relatable topics that you would put on like a CW show or like another show about coming of age or kids in college, whatever, but mixed in with superpowers. How do you think season 2 handled that kind of dichotomy between, some of this gross, outrageous, laughable stuff versus, the real emotional moments, character building moments, the moments where we can talk about kind of serious issues that, that our society is grappling with these days when it comes to young people.
Can I take part of this one?
Go for it.
Or you want to go first?
I have a response. But go ahead.
You go first.
I would just say I think they definitely pulled back on that. To me, like it really felt like they wanted to really front and center the like conspiracy theory, terrifying nature of like what was happening and who Cypher was, more than they wanted to explore the growth of or like the sort of coming of age issues. They did it with a couple of new characters that were like really side characters, and they had like crises of confidence. They just felt like they didn't feel like they were powerful. Like Godolkin ranks them. I mean, they were just like not highly ranked people because they just hadn't had their powers are not very strong. Like the Bushmaster girl is one of these people, and there's a moment where like Emma has to like hype them up. She pulls her Coach Carter on them and is like, someone once didn't, or like I didn't believe in myself, but then someone just said they believed in me, and like now I'm like a hero, and like you can be a hero too. And I mean, some of that stuff, like that's sort of where I thought the season like was a little bit weaker. Some of that stuff felt like really like trite and sort of on the nose and very, like you said, kind of CW. And they didn't really spend time building that into it. I felt like they did a little bit better job last season. So I think that's just where I think in my opinion, they pulled back on a lot of that like teenager angsty stuff, and like there was still some ideas around like, can we do this? Like, should we have the confidence to do this? But they did a lot more around like you have to do this as a family in order to win. They sort of went that direction by the end, and it wasn't as much a story around the crises of confidence you have as a teenager.
So more of the generic found family theme that we see in a lot of superhero stuff.
I thought so. By the end, it was like, oh yeah, we're doing it together, kind of stuff.
Agree or disagree, Savon?
I mean, if you say anything with that tone, you can make it sound bad. But it's like, yes, they're fighting an evil government. Of course, they're working together. Like, yes, that's the whole point of. They're not gonna all go on their own solo missions or whatever, but
they kept trying to go on their solo missions, right? So and then
it didn't work out because you can't beat Vought alone. Like, I think that's a very reasonable. Like, yeah, man, you could try and go it alone, but it's Vought. You're gonna get cooked. I
just think the way that they handled it in terms of saying we're gonna do this together, it was just like you don't have to say it all like that.
Did someone say those words, Wes? We're gonna do this together.
They definitely did.
All right, no, you can't. The guy who don't really remember nothing. All right,
all right. I'm pretty sure they did.
The show.
Let me rephrase that. I'm pretty sure they did.
Look, boy got the selective memory. Turned anamorphed into an elephant real quick. No,
maybe they did.
No. So what I think I agree with Weston that the larger focus is definitely more on just like Vought as a larger villain, which kind of makes sense. That's the natural escalation of the story. We've known from the bounce that Vought is the true devil in all this. So like, it doesn't surprise me that it escalates to where I was like, cool, we're no longer fighting within each other or within the person who's actually the goon of a boss type. Is like, no, Vaught's we know on our crosshairs who the enemy is. I think that's fine setting up for what the final season is going to be, because it's going to just be mostly the people who don't F with Vought versus the Homeland or Vought administration, whatever. I'm fine with that. And that did become the bigger focus. I don't think they moved away from the issues the characters face in a bad way, though, Brian. I think they didn't like just forget about it, sweep it to the wayside. It still gets addressed, and I think they get pretty significant scenes. Like, Marie's cutting is still addressed throughout the season. It's addressed as something she did in Elmira when she was just stressed out in prison. The Dean Cypher even calls out, hey, stop cutting yourself. You don't need to cut yourself to use your powers. She thinks that she has to, but he's explaining, no, that's just you. That's just a mental block or a thing you've imposed upon yourself. So it's part him trying to grow her powers, but also in part he's making a very valid point of like, yo, man, you don't need to cut yourself to do this. But the show does not pull away from the fact that she self-harms when she's stressed out or freaking out, and the powers can just be an excuse. I thought it was great that she has all this existential chosen one shit happening, but they don't move away from the fact that she's a cutter when she's stressed out. Same with Emma, right? Her whole thing in season 1, because of her mom basically just imprinting an eating disorder on her, she can't control whether she shrinks or grows without having to binge or be bulimic. And even then, when she learns she doesn't have to binge or eat a lot, it has to do with her self-esteem, which turns out is still absolutely screwed, right? That still is a thing. Like, that comes up several times when they break into Godolkin's secret library or whatever, right? And she's on drugs because she's abusing drugs because she's so stressed out about all the shit happening. Even the polarity guy calls out, hey, I saw you have to purge earlier to shrink your powers. Hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I got it under control. And that's like the adult checking in. And he even gives her that look of like, okay. In Elmira, she talks about how in Elmira, we see her on screen binging and purging, and Kate even tries to say, hey man, don't do that shit. And this isn't like they just peppered it in at one episode at the start to say, hey, we acknowledged it. This was stuff that was happening mid-season, like I'm just going through character by character. Jordan is still dealing with the identity issues and how now as a popular figure, they're really getting dragged through the mud about how they perceive themselves. They still don't have a good relationship with their parents. And their whole thing is, hey, I've always wanted to be number one, as all Jordan wanted season 1. They finally get it, and now they're miserable as shit, right? Like, I was very happy. And then even Polarity, his whole thing of like, the character's dead, but they kind of took his conflict and moved it into the dad of like, hey, man, you got to deal with grief and trauma and survivor's guilt over you feeling like you led your son to his death. And then you learn his death was actually a scientific experiment, right? Like, all of that, I thought it's not quite the same as like the super, super young adult, because I think it's a little mature because the characters are a little bit older, time has passed. But I thought the show did a really good job of acknowledging, despite all this Vought shit, these characters all have a lot of individual trauma, and we're not just going to sweep it aside just to focus on the Vought conflict. even if that's not the driving force behind season 2, which I agree with that. But I think that's okay because season 1 was better to be about their personal issues, 2 about the larger conflict, with their personal issues still being prominent, but like it felt more like a maybe 60-40, 70-30 split, which I found to be like, I thought that was I thought that was acceptable.
So it took more of a back seat this season.
Yes, but not in a bad way because
but
I don't think
not entirely like out the window.
Yes, and not in a bad way because I felt like you have to escalate, you have to progress and escalate the story. We've always known Vaught's the final villain. I don't think I'd be a fan if season 2 didn't really focus on a larger conflict and still stayed very small scale their issue. Like, I thought that was one of the better things they did. Or even Kate, right? Earning the challenge, regaining the trust of all her friends, because again, the mind manipulator character has to deal with the most trust related shit, and like even Sam, like his whole thing previously was being nuts and psychologically broken and destroying shit, and he has a whole mini arc where he goes home, makes peace with the awful things he's done, and even reconciles with his family, and even has a good convo with his parents about how, hey man, the V isn't actually what messed up your brain like you think. We have people in our family with a history of severe mental illness, and it's a whole good thing about like, hey man, you might have issues, but it's not because of the V, but you can still take responsibility. And he ends up clearly has like grown through that arc. But like, I loved how they handled the characters' personal issues and balance. Like I said, like Wes, I mean, I just went through every main character, and I thought those things had like significant amounts of screen time. Like Sam has a whole arc where he's just back at home. Like, so it's not like they just, we gotta check the box and reference it just to say we did it. Like, I thought they gave it very respectable screen time considering it's an 8-episode season. So I think me and Wes observed the same things, but I think we came to different conclusions about what that means for the show.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of with you.
I don't disagree with what you said. The only part I disagree with you about was the fact that them moving away from it was a bad thing. I think they did do it, but they balanced it, and it's not a bad thing. But I think that's just a matter of opinion. Like, I think we both observed similar stuff. It's just,
I think we're on the same page. I didn't need it to like retread the teenage stuff anymore. Like, if like they had did that in season 1, and a lot of that stuff kind of like sort of worked itself out. It doesn't mean it's like gone. It's just like, yeah, like it's okay to focus on different parts of the story, and the issues become a little bit more broader.
The characters grow, but it's not all at once, right? Like,
no, I don't
they're
think
in
we're
a better
disagreeing.
place, but they still got to figure some shit out.
No, I agree with you. And I think Marie's story is probably one of those very typical, like, older teenager stories that you see in movies around, like, a chosen one kind of character, right? She's got to level up. She has to, like, go through these hard times. She has to find out, like, what her full potential actually is. And not that she's even found it yet, but she's, like, on that journey already, and, like, through conflicts with, like, overpowered enemies, like enemies that she thinks are more powerful than she is. I did want to say, though, that like overall I love the show, and I feel like we haven't had enough chance to like say like focus on like how much the show was like cool and engaging just overall as a watch. I think I watched in the past 3 days, and I was never once like, oh yeah, I just want to stop watching here, like I'm kind of like over the show. I just kept being like, yep, want to go to the next episode. And I knew, I mean, part of that is like I maybe wouldn't have watched it so much if we weren't talking about it on the show, but I definitely would have watched it totally on my own from start to finish. I mean, I think I texted you guys at episode 2 or 3, and I was like, so far really enjoying this episode. And it maintained, I felt like, that level of interest for me the whole way through. And it didn't, a lot of times I complain like, I don't really know like where this is going or what's happening. And I felt like this show did it for me, for a very like, smooth brain, I want action person. It was like the right balance a lot of times around like, let's give you action, let's give you some plot, let's give you some character development like throughout the thing. And we're not going to totally hang you in the dark. We're just going to like let you have, let you understand where the stakes are here, and then like go from there. I did think like in retrospect, I sort of wish they had done a little bit more with the characters. Like the relationships between characters are very like on again, off again, like who's in whose camp and who's on this side. Like Kate, you mentioned Kate has a very like tenuous relationship with the group right now, throughout the whole season. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't know why like you're giving her this chance when like you don't want to give her a chance later, and then like later she does something that's like kind of helpful, and it's like, okay, cool, and then like, oh, we're like kind of chummy again, and then they're like, but I don't still trust you, and it's like, yeah, that would be like real life, but it just sort of made it like you're sort of telling her like you trust her by your actions sometimes, and then your words say like, oh, but we don't trust you, you know, and it sort of felt a little inconsistent with how they dealt with some of the character relationships, and that's not the only one.
Did it feel like they were going in circles?
Maybe a little bit. It just more felt like there wasn't a lot of like reason for like why things had changed. Like there wasn't enough of a reason why like
What you mean?
different feelings had changed around different people. It's like they don't trust Kate in the beginning because they're like, you sent us to Elmira. And then Kate comes to try and like convince them to come back, and she's saying, I'm just terrified of blah blah, and you could really help me. And then I think she tries to mind control them or something, and they hurt her really bad. They almost kill her. And not on purpose. They were just trying to like fight her off. And from there, it's unclear if they feel bad about it or if they're going to help her or like whatever. And the
I think they all had different feelings. They all gave very different answers. Emma was like, yo, let her die.
Well, that was clear.
Emma was like, yo, we should go kill her. Jordan was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
I think they all had, Alice was dope. They all had conflicting feelings about it because they all were, you know, like even they were like, yo, heal Kate when that happens. And Marie was just like, if I heal her, she might try to, I don't know. I thought that, I don't know. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scene played out how like it should have. It's just, I think over the arc of the season, it's just like Kate ended up just being like really annoying, and it didn't seem like they knew what to do with her during like in their relationships. It was like, are you helpful? Are you not helpful? Or like they had nerfed her by having her have this accident, and then I think like Emma and Polarity, their relationship was like, it was more intimate than it sort of should have been based on what we saw on screen. She really became like, he became like really her closer mentor, but we didn't know why, right? Like, yeah, they spent some time together on this like one mission,
we do know why.
They just
grooming.
They bonded over the relationship they both had with Andre. Like Emma talked about how Andre was like a key turning point for her in season 1, because Emma's whole thing is that her self-esteem is absolute ass. Like that's the reason her powers are so whack.
To me, Andre it didn't feel like they earned it like that.
In season 1, Andre, like her turning point in season 1 was Andre saying, "Hey, no, actually, you're kind of dope," and that's like legitimate. That wasn't like even in that season 1, that was a turning point for her character. So I thought the whole Emma and polarity relationship was fire because they both were grieving over Andre because he lost his son. She lost one of the only people who actually made her feel good about herself, and then being able to mutually bond over that, and her to pull the dad out of his self-pity of like, yo, man, you can't just be on the floor drunk, season out watching porn. Like, do something. Like, hey, be effing better. Like, she's the one who talks him out the suicide mission. Like, I love that at the end when they split off, she straight up tells him, hey, I'm proud of you, because she saw how low he was when he lost his son, and she was able to kind of pull him out of his own self-pity. Like, I don't know. I absolutely, like, Emma and Polarity are probably my favorite little duo this whole season, of like Emma doing dumb shit, Polarity just being like, yo, what are you doing? Or when she's on Molly and she talks the library guy off being a fan. I don't know. Every time those two are on screen, I was locked in. I'm like, oh man, this is my favorite. This is the duo I didn't know I needed in my life that I want more
I didn't think the chemistry actually worked that well between them. And then
I loved it.
So that maybe that didn't land for me in terms of them becoming sort of buddy cops and like buddy buddies by the end. And
I loved it.
I just didn't feel like they had actually set us up to believe that like that relationship was actually true, given how hard he was grieving still over his son.
Rewatch
dying.
Some of those scenes where they talk about Andre. They're really good scenes where like the scenes where other people talk to Polarity about his son are all really good. Like, that's one of those, if you ever get a chance, rewatch it. I thought those were some of the best scenes in the show, and I thought they did a good job of peppering it throughout the season so that the character's change feels earned. Like, if they just do it a little one-off, that's when it doesn't feel earned. But I'm always a fan when it's something they continue to pepper and address it.
All right, that's fair.
We talk about Andre's a big figure over the season. I mean, it's just one of those differences of opinion, you know?
Yeah.
They got scenes I like.
Yeah, I think my taste would have been a little, just something different, more, I don't know, something. It just, to me, it felt like they had cut like certain scenes that led to their relationship being the way it was, and we had just not seen them, and maybe they just edited them out for time. And maybe for you, you're like, no, actually, I didn't need those scenes. But for me, I felt like I needed those scenes to see like, why would this like, small white girl with her own problems be taking be like mentored or like have this like father relationship with Polaris. She doesn't need a father. Like they didn't establish that she needs a father relationship. Like that all sort of felt like, meh, okay, like fine, I guess. And then I thought Marie and Annabeth actually. So Marie meets her sister, and we've known that she doesn't know where her sister is. She's never been able to locate her because she was in this foster system or whatever, this like fucked up foster system, an orphanage system, and their meeting is sort of, I don't know, it sort of fell flat. Like I expected way more from it, and they have a couple of moments where they're like, fuck you, blah blah. They have a couple of moments where it's like, oh, we're sisters, and I don't know. It felt very like jarring to be on that roller coaster, and I imagine in real life that might be how it is, but it just sort of by the end they're like, we're sisters, and you're like, I don't know, like
I wasn't a fan of the Annabeth Marie scenes either.
The first time you've seen each other in 15 years, both of you hating yourself over the situation. One of you thinks the other actually killed your parents, like not on purpose, but like are a major threat, and like it's like in 24 hours we're like cool again. I was like, I don't mean, okay, but we hadn't really talked about it or like discussed it. I don't think that she ever got to explain to Annabeth like what had happened and what she's been through since. Like none of that stuff happened on screen, and it wasn't even like implied that it happened off screen. So I don't know. I mean, all of the emotional stuff.
You really love this season of.
I did. I like. I want to be clear. Like these are all pretty small things. Like I can talk about them, and I think they could have done them better. But I do think these are very like small things that didn't at like 1% maybe took my interest in the show down. Like overall, I thought the pacing was really good. The like moment to moment actions were good.
So we're talking about 1% problems of the show.
I mean, what else you want to talk about?
What are we doing here?
You want to go back to like how they had to fight Cypher, because that was like awesome. I mean, I thought he was just like
so was that the high point of the show? The final boss battle.
Yeah, well, just the whole thing. Like he's just a badass. Like how do you defeat this guy? And like the problems that he creates based on his power set are really like interesting. And it didn't feel like any of our heroes had a power that could really deal with it. And then we learned that Polarity has this like a little bit of ability to resist it, but also he's becoming stronger as the last 3 episodes. Cypher becomes stronger, or Godolkin becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So you're like, oh shit, is it going to be enough? And so it's, I don't know. I like that it's like small time, right? It's not like the whole world is at stake. It's going to be like blown up. It's not Galactus coming. It's like this guy is just going to wreak havoc one by one, and he's just this. Do you remember Jessica Jones season 1 with David Tennant's character?
What's his name? Purple Man.
Yeah.
It's like
one
that,
of the
right?
most
Like
terrifying villains.
Yeah,
ever.
he sort of almost has that level of quality to him, in that it's like he's not trying to take over the world. He just wants to exact his like one by one. I'm just taking this dude out, and like fuck that dude, taking him out. Like I hate this dude.
To be clear, he is still very much a super Nazi. So
and that, right?
There is definitely an end game. It just starts with this, but like he is a super Nazi. He definitely got bigger plans than just.
But he's not gonna like blow up the world.
Herd.
You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't have a galactic
he won't subjugate it.
Yeah, but it's just really interesting. He's got these like really interesting powers that are not cosmic level. They're very much like in the like I have to be around in the right neighborhood powers. And I don't think he'd be a match for Homelander at this point, but maybe like he could have grown up to be that. So it was like the right level of fight for these characters, I thought. So beautifully done there.
Do the Teen Titans earn their victory by the end?
I felt like they did.
Facing Cypher.
Sav, did you feel like they earned it?
Was it satisfying the way they ended it?
I think from a general writing perspective, sure. Because the whole plan ends up being, right, he's trying to lure students into this seminar. He announced himself as Godolkin, and then he pretty much just brainwashes them into fighting each other to the death. And then it's like, only strong survive, the weak die, and that's his whole MO. So like, yes, in the sense that they recognize the threat that he is. They found out good information to know what they're up against at this point. They try to warn other students. Some of the students they try to warn, including the guy with the singularity butthole, is like a key part of them sneaking in and getting into the final
Trojan
battle.
horse.
My only real complaint.
Get out of the clown car.
The clown car. My only real complaint about the final battle, and this point with a show like The Boys, I just kind of have no expectations, is that this show will just never have good fight scenes. Like that's just not what this show makes its bones off of, So I just have to recognize any fight scenes. There's never going to be really good choreography. There's going to be lots of just keep it a buck. There's going to be lots
dance
of
choreography though.
There's going to be lots of like
controls them into doing like the thriller dance. Basically,
yeah, but fight with Soldier Boy and Homelander kind of good. Maybe.
Yeah, but you can tell when a show is a show that like we have like a choreographer to do these fight scenes versus we have a fight scene. We need to just get the action scene done. It's less about the action, more about just the plot progression. It's not a complaint because I don't expect the boys to just have those types of, I'm not going to expect a Captain America Winter. Yeah, it's not their budget is too much on being on CGI wieners and all that other stuff. That's they put their budget into. Very well spent. So besides the fact that I think the choreography isn't super great, and if you start to think too much about that, the fights make less sense. But that's for me. That's just one of those. I don't care. It's like this would be me nitpicking in a way that's like not good faith. So the boys has always had weak fight choreography, but them defeating Cypher the way they did and how they went about it, I do think felt earned. And they had to take a lot of L's to get to that point and pull some legitimately smart, slick shit, which I thought, okay, cool. I'll take mediocre choreography if the writing still more or less makes sense of how we get to, from A to B. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know if that was my highest point of the season, but it was good, and it felt earned.
It was good.
No, I thought they landed the plane. Sav's always talking about you got to land the plane. I thought they did that. But I don't know if the fight itself was the highest part. I just think the fact that like Cypher was this really cool villain and had this like power that really matched and like poked at like the weaknesses of these particular individuals, right? That are our antagonists, our protagonist was like made for a good TV, and they used it well. So
yeah, I don't like that they took him off the board so quick. Like, I thought his character had a really cool build-up throughout the season and this whole mystery of the character. And once they finally pull back the curtain, we only really get to see this fully actualized villain for another, like, maybe 2 episodes, and then he's killed off.
Not even, right?
If that.
I was only like end of episode 7, I think he gets healed, and then episode 8 is the final.
But my complaint is just that he just would have been a good character to be in the boys' final season. He doesn't have to be the main character, but he would have been a cool villain to have on the chessboard in terms of his own being a threat to both different parties, but having his own agenda. And like, I thought that would have been, because his whole thing was being able to control really powerful soups, and he's trying to become stronger so he can control soups like Marie and Homelander. Goal, yeah. And it even established that Marie and Homelander are very much the same tier of like soup power level. Like if we're doing tiers and Homelander's S tier and everybody else throughout the show has been like A plus tier, they've established that Marie is also a fellow S tier.
Or like could get there. She's maybe not there yet, but
yeah, she has that S. Some of them is like, hey, no matter how strong you get, you'll never be. She's very much like the program that created her was the same one that created Homelander, to give you an idea of like, she's from that elite batch that most of them died. She lived, and that's what makes her different from everybody else who got V at blah 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 time. But
I'm trying to figure out how for that, just to that point, I can't figure out how they're gonna make her S tier when she's still vulnerable, right? So one of Homelander's S tier things is you can't hurt him.
When have you seen Marie get hurt?
How is she vulnerable?
I don't know. I feel like she gets hurt in fights all the time. She gets like strangled.
But she could heal herself, right?
So not yet. She hasn't been able. She hasn't tried to heal herself.
She healed the burn guys, so she could clearly apply it to herself.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So, but that wasn't established until recently. But I don't know. I mean, it also seems to take time. It's not like if you chopped her head off, I don't know that
you couldn't do it in the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and because Wes, I think they actually already did start to address this.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I missed
if you recognize at the end of season 1, actually this is a subtle hint, but they literally planted the seed in season 1 when Homelander pulls up to God U and they're fighting the other students. And you remember, girl, she blows up Kate's arm. If you recall, Homelander lasered the shit out of her. And she didn't die. She didn't take some kind of injury. She got knocked out. And when she wakes up in Elmira, Andre even says, "Yo, you took that blast from Homelander like a champ." Like,
and nobody does. And he says those the boys. He says those
exact words. He said, "Yo, you took that like a champ." Like he said, "Yo, Mike Tyson punched you and you ate that lick. Like, yo, you not dead." Like to me, that is them establishing, like.
No, that totally.
We've seen the only other person we've seen legitimately withstand a Homelander laser was him when he was having his sexual relationship with Stormfront. But we also recognize that Stormfront was also an abnormally strong soup. And the only thing that hurt her was when she pissed off the Sun. But we don't know how strong the Sun might be stronger than Homelander. So, but in terms of how we've seen how strong Homelander's beams are, she ate that lick, and that wasn't something they pulled out their ass. That was a season 1 finale. So
I guess I was thinking that she can cut herself with like a pocket knife. So I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't have that indestructibility that Homelander has. But that makes sense if she could take a laser beam.
I think with the cut and blood thing, honestly, man, I just wouldn't overthink it. I think that's just one of those. Like,
I was just characters gave me the impression that she was vulnerable.
Yeah, but outside of her cutting herself, she actually never really gets hurt. Like when you think about all the fights she's been in, like she's never really had a time where she just got effed up. Like Homelander knocked her out, but beyond that, we actually don't really see Marie getting tossed around for real. Granted, there's only so many fights in the show, but like I think they've planted some subtle hints about soup durability. They all have some baseline durability. Like all of them, even the most basic of soups, have more durability than the average person. But we see some soups can get punched through easily, or a sufficiently strong soup can rip apart a normally indestructible soup. So, and also we've seen Homelander get hurt by like people weaker than weaker than Marie potentially, right? Like when Huey and Butcher and all them jump him, he gets a black eye, he get pieced up. Remember because Maeve calls out him wearing concealer. So like we've seen Homelander take some licks and get hurt too. So I think they are planting some seeds to kind of establish a little bit of power balancing of like, hey,
gotcha.
Marie ate a Homelander laser. That should give you a hint into her durability. And we've seen that the head poppers from what Victoria looks like are basically unstoppable. We haven't seen any soup that could resist a head pop. There's one moment where Homelander calls it out and says, "Can you try?"
Can she not pop? Was Victoria Newman able to do it on Homelander and she chose not to?
It never gets established. There's a point where they even are having a direct and he's like, "Would it work?" And it's kind of like one of those, it probably would work, but if it doesn't work, you die. And it's kind of one of those like, it's like one of those, hey, if we do this, one of us will die. One of us will die. Okay. Either Marie pops Homelander's head and kills him, and she has to take the risk of finding out if it works, or
he lasers the shit out of her after she tries.
She tries and it doesn't work, and it's just like one of those, yeah, you could kill him, but like, why would you risk that? Like, that's like a. But I think I think those are little things that the writers actually established to kind of give us an idea of how strong Marie could potentially be and what that would mean if she had to go up against Homelander. But
that makes sense.
I think he can get head popped. I don't see why not. Like, he's strong, but he's not God. He's been bruised. He's been hurt. Like, we've seen him take injuries.
Well, maybe if his like skull and his like veins are really strong, they like hold the blood in, it wouldn't like explode him.
I mean, at this point, it's just the writers. What the writers choose to do. How durable is he? I don't know. We're gonna find out once they come head to head, and hopefully she pops his head, or maybe he dies from some completely different shit. Maybe he doesn't die. I don't know. We gotta watch the new season of The Boys when it comes out.
Well, so speaking of, like, give me your best hot take for how this season of Gen V, how it wraps up. Give me your speculation for what this means for the final season of The Boys.
I have no idea.
Is it just a Marie versus Homelander head to head? Like, how is that even going to work?
I think it's going to be everybody v Homelander, because the ending kind of sets up like you see A-Train, you see Starlight again, and they basically recruit all of the Gen V group into them basically saying, all right, man, look, we're joining the Resistance and we're joining the fight against Homelander. So to me, this feels like they're setting up they're consolidating the Gen V cast into The Boys to set up for the final confrontation between Homelander and his allies versus everybody else. I don't know if we're going to just get a straight Marie Homelander standoff, because we still have Chekhov's Soldier Boy on ice somewhere, and there's other loose ends, and there's Butcher with his cancer things and the soup virus. Like, there's too many pieces on the board that could all F up Homelander for us to be able to predict how I think it'll go. But I'm excited.
I need you to take a stand, though. You got to plant a flag here. Tell me how it's going to end.
I don't know, man. Like,
I don't think I can make a guess either.
It's too many like boards on the chess. It's too many pieces on the board for me to even make like an educated guess. Like, there's 3 different things that could kill Homelander. There's 4 different things that could kill him. Is the sun gonna flip out? Is Soldier Boy gonna come back? Is Butcher gonna kill him?
Homelander's not gonna die. That's my hot take.
Yeah,
I
think Homelander ends
He's
up
not gonna die.
Ozai.
But
he gets the Ozai treatment.
Be neutralized. Yeah.
I think I would like for him to get the Ozai treatment of like, what's the worst way to punish Homelander? Make him live out his days as a human.
Oh, like take away all his powers.
Underpowered.
Take away your bending. Vulnerable. You are now just a dude. You are not just Anthony Starr.
With some really sicko tendencies.
Craziness.
Okay, so if final, like, very, very important, serious question. I need you to answer in total sincerity. If you were a student at Godolphin University, what power would you have that would allow you to survive a day there? And would it get you expelled?
It's all you, Wes, baby.
I don't know. At first, I was like, I'd want to be able to fly, but I don't know that would save me. I feel like someone would just catch me or like flame, the air, and then I would die that way. And then I was like, well, what if I could just be invisible? But that has the same problem. Just because you're invisible doesn't mean you're invulnerable, right? And then I was like, well,
different powers.
What if I became invisible but like very strong? So I could be like, I could turn myself into a giant tree. Like the trees in the Lord of the Rings.
The Ents?
The Ents. I could become
that
like
talk slowly
when I wanted to and just plant myself in the middle of the courtyard. No one would even know that I was there. I would just be a tree. And so through simple like camouflage. But if someone ran into me, I wouldn't die, right? Because if you run into a tree, like you just bounce off, or maybe like I lose a branch or something, but I'm okay. And then once all the danger had passed and I like, beat a few people with my branches, then like I'm back to normal and I'm regular West going to class or going to going to the grocery store or whatever I need to do for college.
But when you're in class, people are going to be like, yo, where'd that oak tree go? It's gone. They'll be onto you so quickly.
A tree, Wes. What are you going to do when like someone cuts your branches or pisses on you or
well, then I'd walk away.
You're going to be a big tree?
I'm like a transformer.
A big tree is more noticeable that it's missing. Right, or that is moved spots.
But a big tree is strong.
In the right place.
I don't want Homelander to punch somebody through my little tree form and then kill me. Like I want to. Hey,
Wes, I'm not to tell you this, man.
Take the lick.
I think Homelander is chopping down a tree.
Yeah, I don't know how to tell you this, man. But when it comes to people with superpowers, trees are not an obstacle for them. Like you put an oak tree in front of any of the X-Men, I promise you they will get through that tree.
But they wouldn't. They're not purposefully trying to like kill the tree.
So what is your goal?
Collateral damage.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is your goal to be a tree on a West? I feel like
I'm
your
just gonna be able to turn
good
into
and you
a
picked
tree.
the worst power possible. This man said.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna turn into. So what is your power? You just turn into. Is it like the Wonder Twins? You can only turn into different types of plants, like form of different water forms, or
I'm like Beast Boy, but Animal Boy. There you go.
What type of tree are we talking about here?
Animal Boy, Wes.
Sorry. I'm like Plant Boy. I'm gonna be Plant Boy.
Wes, that is awful. You could have
Wes
just
is
said I'm
some
gonna
sort
be
of plant.
You could have just said I'm gonna be a shapeshifter and call it a day. You could turn into a bench, or you could have been Mystique, and you just said, "No, I want to turn into an effing tree."
Mystique with guardrails. Tree.
Put one of those, fences around my tree so that people know to stay away.
Do you hear? This is your friend Brian. Do you hear what this man is saying?
Wow.
What kind of tree? I mean, it's got to be the mighty oak for sure, right? Like you got to be able to turn into a tree. This man said if I had a power, I would to be at this power at school. You said
I would
to
turn into an oak
survive at
tree.
Godolkin University where everything bad is happening all the time. So I want to be like a regular person most of the time, but when the shit hits the fan,
He's turning into a Dr. Seuss character.
I'm just gonna turn myself into a tree and hope that, I just blend in with the forest and
just hope that no one picks up. When I play games, Wes, I throw trees. That's an item to me. It's like, oh, it's a tree. Oh, I'm ready to chunk.
You pull up a tree for no good reason?
No, they hit somebody with it. It's a very good reason. When I was a kid playing Hulk Ultimate Destruction, they had a tree. Guess what I did? I picked up that tree.
We've got climate change, and you're pulling up trees. We should be planting trees, saving trees.
I hear you, Wes, but I think a lot of people do not try to save trees. You're cooked.
Well, okay. Well, let's hear what Sav says. Maybe I'll like his plan better. I'm not sure. Godolkin is crazy. It just feels like
your plan is great. Just be a shapeshifter, bro, and then you can do the same thing but with actual options. You could be like a garbage can or a bench or a street pole.
I don't want to be a garbage can. Trees are majestic.
You want to be an oak tree?
I don't.
Never mind.
Oak trees strong.
Power.
They're like hundreds of years old. They got to be strong to survive. They survive like hurricanes and fires and everything. Like
they famously don't.
They just can't survive. They just can't survive land erosion.
Trees are famously victims of forest fires.
But they survive sometimes, and then they grow back. Like the big tree in Maui, it's still going. It's back.
All right, man. If you want 30 years to grow back after you get burnt down instead of just flying away
then I just turn into a person.
More power to you.
When I return into a tree, I'm just back to being a regular tree.
Give me the loop.
That means you got to befriend Marie so that she can heal you. Because you'll be burnt up.
Yeah, she ain't just doing that casual. And she got manipulated. She probably ain't even trusting folks with that no more. Just fool me once.
I don't know. She healed Kate at the end. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I think that was a mistake.
For like 5 episodes.
That was a mistake.
Give me,
what are you doing? That
girl
only wants power. She only wants power. Fuck
That's
her.
not true. She's a victim, an idiot.
She is a victim, but she cannot be trusted.
Give me the Iron Skin.
Savon,
give me the Luke Cage. Huh?
You want to be Luke Cage at Godolphin
just give me the Unbreaker. Just give me the. I like Jordan's power. You know, like Jordan in their male form of just being basically invulnerable and like a super tank. Give me that. Best defense or best offense is a good defense. Sometimes it's like, yo, man, you can't hurt me. Or if you do, it's worth way more effort than it's worth. Like, hey, man, you can spend all this time trying to break through my
Colossus.
defense.
So you're like Colossus, basically.
They got these other goons who, just give me any of the defensive minded. Give me the Colossus, the Luke Cage. I don't need the super strength. If any super strength comes with the super durability, but I'm going with like, the only way you could kill me is by like drowning me or some shit.
So you want literal thick skin. Do words cut you though?
I mean, as we've seen with Gen V, the psychological damage is the real way that you hurt a hero. We're not able to break them a skin, but that mama broke her self-esteem. Jordan's parents broke their sense of identity.
That he's not swaggy enough, and then he'll just collapse in the middle of the battle.
Oh no, I self-actualized on that. If you think that
you don't
is
like
all
these
it takes
paisley
to break
pants?
myself, what if that's just your attempt? Nah, you think if my self-esteem could be shattered so easily? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Also, most people's opinions don't mean nothing. So, like, unless you're in my inner circle, I don't even care what you think. Like, why would I care what some random NPC thing? Like, I don't know you.
That's probably true.
I'm going with Kitty Pride powers.
Phaser
through.
That shows up in the last episode, and it does. It's how he gets out of the situation. So in that situation where the Dean Godolphin, he traps everybody in the room and says,
"Did he get trapped? Did he escape?
He escapes. Yeah, he's wearing the flag, and he's like, "Run! They're coming!" Or like,
and he just got out.
Godolphin
You're
is like,
right.
"Hey, buddy,"
because he was that chunky dude, right?
Yeah, and he was like, "I'm out of here," and he like phases through the wall.
He did phase out and get the. You're absolutely right. That's a good one, Brian.
Get the F out of Dodge. That's how you do it.
Cool.
Without having seen the episode, you might really have the answer there, Brian.
So we got Brian as Shadowcat, me as Luke Cage, and Wes as
an
tree man.
Tree man.
Famously, in the Lord of the Rings, they cut down the trees. That's what makes the Ents angry.
I'm a regular dude, and I could probably be a threat to a tree.
Have you ever heard of a chainsaw, Wes?
Me and Tony was doing y'all work the other day.
Transform back to a human and run away.
So now you're just two dudes. Now you're just a human. So we're just two dudes.
Now you're just running from a guy with a chainsaw. Great.
Chainsaw. Like, yo.
Or I'll take my branch and like drop one on him. Branches are heavy.
What?
They might die.
Yeah, might.
It's okay.
I was gonna make a Greg Abbott joke, but that's poor taste. All right.
Well, we know Wes is flunking out of Godolphin. What are the final grades?
You saw the show. Godolphin would have killed you if you heard your power.
I'll have the last laugh.
Not in the rankings at all.
Called from the herd.
What are you guys grading season 2 of Gen V? Let's hear it.
Ooh, Wes? I think I'll go 4.5 out of 5. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Wow, high praise.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm gonna do my 5-star scale, but to this one, since we're doing a university, I'm actually gonna give it a letter grade.
Yeah, do the letters.
I'm gonna give it a solid B plus A minus, depending on my mood. It was really good.
I thought you'd be higher.
Yeah, that is.
I'm leaning a little. I'm leaning more towards the A minus.
Okay.
I think my only complaint is that sometimes The Boys feels like Gen V was less guilty of it, but still, the series as a whole, it feels like they've kind of become the thing that they're parodying at certain moments. But this show is like also. I think what took away from me was that I thought Annabelle was a very uninteresting character. I think this season could have gone with Annabeth. I think this season could have gone without her entirely.
Should have done more with that.
I think that took away. I think Godolphin dying at the end when he could have been, more of a status quo shifter was disappointing to me. But it was a really good show. Like, I know it. No, A minus. Like I said, maybe B plus at the lowest, but definitely a solid A minus. It was good. I watched it. I was entertained. I was always excited for the next episode, and just the whole mystery of unraveling Godolphin was a very fun season mystery to be like, okay, what is up with this? And you piecing together your bits and the breadcrumbs they leave, I thought was very interesting. So
agreed.
Yeah. But I will say,
come out of just
I
left
think Gen
field
V's better than The
now
Boys
we know
at
the
this
answer.
point.
It really felt like they built up to it. It was good.
Yeah. I think Gen V's better than The Boys for me at this point, though. I think The Boys has kind of become a little just a parody of itself. I think Gen V not being tied down by the source material and expectations of characters and doing their own completely unique thing gave me something that I was a little bit more interested in, especially with, I think The Boys has kind of slipped a little bit.
Brian, have we sold you on it? Would you go back and watch it, even if we're not talking about it on the pod?
Well, I'm definitely getting an incomplete for Gen V. Maybe I get the incomplete. I'm not sure.
I think you get the incomplete, big dog.
That usually turns into an F as I found out in college. Am I gonna watch it? It's I am intrigued. It does sound really interesting. But I got to tell you, when I watched that first episode, I just did not care. I couldn't get myself to care. But that might just be my current mental state. I'm just
you might be kind of busy.
I'm just tired.
Yeah, you gotta watch it on your own turn. Watch it as something you want to do for fun, not just homework. And I think that maybe makes it a little easier.
But I will say that your criticism about The Boys, it does sound like it's creeping into Gen V a little bit, where they have a very certain understanding of where they want to take The Boys, and that is dominating where they needed to end Gen V, rather than just going for what would be interesting from a writing and character standpoint.
Maybe, but I also think one of your biggest things that you didn't really enjoy about the last season of The Boys was that there wasn't a lot of development. Everybody just kind of ended up plot wise back where they were before, and a little bit emotionally wise back where they were before. And I didn't think that was true of this season at all. I think everybody took huge changes. They took a lot on the chin and changed a lot, and they certainly are not in the same position they were at the end of season 1. So
amen to that. The Boys, that's right. The Boys would always just reset the status quo every time, where it's
resetting.
All right, is everything gonna fall apart for Homelander? No, we're blackmailing you. Homelander killed my wife. Butcher noises.
That took me a second. I was like, was that Frenchie?
Oi, Homelander. Just oi.
Well, what's his name?
Diabolical.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Carl
Butcher,
Urban?
just Butcher no.
I
Yeah,
called
just
him Keith Urban
Butcher,
just now.
Yeah, just
different person.
Just
Different
Butcher
Urban.
noises. Homelander having a borderline breakdown, and then everyone resets back for the next season, and it's
all right. Before we end, can we talk about another super powered hero for 1 minute, 60 seconds? Because Victor Wembanyama has been on a fucking tear to start this NBA season. Holy shit. I texted Brian and
he jumped
Savon.
over you.
He's literally, I don't know, he's going to break the NBA. I texted you guys. I was like, he's going to win MVP this year, and the Spurs are going to be a top 3 team in the West. After seeing the first half of the first game, I was like, this guy's a cheat code.
All right. That shit not fair.
He's OP. He's OP. You got to write him out of the show.
It's incredible. You guys should be watching Victor Wembanyama if you're not.
If this was a video game, people would say, this is cheating.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
He might win multiple awards this year.
He's gonna win DPOY. He's gonna win MVP.
He might win MVP.
Yeah,
most improved player.
Oh, most improved. I don't think he'll get most improved.
Don't think so?
The media
I just
hype
don't
is
think
real.
the media wants to. I don't think the media would want to give the MVP person also the most improved. That's just there's psychologically that feels wrong.
He wasn't even all NBA.
Yeah,
last year.
I think you're right.
That's a big jump.
Also,
he could be the youngest
Austin
MVP
Reeves
ever.
making the jump from good to great this year.
Okay, we're not going there. We were just talking about superheroes.
Thank
you for listening to Confidently Wrong, everybody.
And Wembanyama's incredible.
Follow us on socials. Give us a like.
At Confidently
5 stars.
Love us.
All of that good stuff. Stay tuned
Dodgers,
for more.
Game 7 tonight. Let's go. Come on, Mookie Betts, get out of your slump.
Baseball.
Shohei's incredible.